Tonight on CTV News at 6, Andrew Knack is Edmonton's mayor-elect. The former city councillor emerges at the front of a crowded mayoral race.
Edmonton chose independent leadership.
Dozens of new charges for a Leduc man accused of child sex offences.
It would be my hope and my expectation that he does not receive bail.
And an arrest after fireworks cause a fire that destroys a family home.
Like, what's a firework? Music goes off and it's done. Now my house is gone.
Sunny and warm, but gusty again for tomorrow. Temperatures by Friday close to 20.
CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Jeff Hastings.
Good evening. We have a new mayor-elect in Edmonton. Andrew Knack will lead the city for the next 4 years. Knack's main rival, Tim Cartmel, conceded late this afternoon. With the hand count of ballots, results are still coming in, but here's a look at the latest numbers. Knack in first place with about 71,500 votes. Cartmel in second with about 55,000. And former councillor Michael Walters in third with about 22,000 votes. Now, Andrew Knack gave a speech to supporters and media just a couple of hours ago at his campaign headquarters. CTV's Jeremy Thompson is there now. And Jeremy, what was Knack's reaction when hearing the news?
Well, of course, he was very excited, and why shouldn't he be? It's been quite a year for Andrew Knack. It was just last September when he said he was stepping away entirely from city politics. Today, he found out he will, in fact, be heading back to City Hall with more responsibility than ever as Edmonton's mayor. Now, he made his victory speech this afternoon, flanked by his parents, Richard and Margaret, and attempted to explain or describe why his campaign succeeded despite such a stark disparity in fundraising.
Be in front of Edmontonians in as many different ways as possible, but it's that face-to-face, it's that over the phone, it's the replying directly to emails. That's how we did this, and it was such an incredible team effort.
Now, we likely won't know the final fundraising numbers for a few weeks, but Knack's main rival, Tim Cartmel, raised at least 5 times as much money as Knack did. The mayor-elect says his priority is to sit down with the new council as soon as possible to discuss a shared vision to tackle major issues they all heard about at the doors, like safety, affordability, and keeping up with population growth. Knack is also pledging to work with the provincial government to find common ground, though he says he will be more outspoken about issues with the province than Amberjeet Sohi was if he feels Edmontonians aren't being heard. Fellow incumbent Michael Jans appears to have secured his seat on council in Ward Papasteo. Both he and Knack say Edmontonians sent a message to the province in this election.
It was a rejection of the parties. It was a rejection of the big money. I think it was a rejection of Danielle Smith and the UCP. I think people saw this as a way that the Premier was trying to get her tentacles into Edmonton, and just like she's been messing with the teachers and messing with healthcare, people did not want her messing with City Hall.
Knack's main rival, Tim Cartmel, conceded defeat around 2 o'clock this afternoon. The results, of course, were still coming in then, as they are coming in now, but Knack had held about 38% of the vote all morning. And so Cartmel issued a concession statement, and in it, he, of course, thanked his own campaign team as well as all of the candidates in his Better Edmonton party, saying in part, "We brought forward ideas rooted in common sense, accountability, and collaboration, believed city politics could be better, and we did our best to stop the division on city council." Of course, Jeffy went on to congratulate Andrew Knack on the win.
All right, Jeremy, thank you. It appears many voters were not looking for much change when it comes to our city's council race. All but 3 of the 12 wards had incumbents running. All but 1 are in the lead in their respective wards. In Ward EP Kokanee Piazzi, incumbent Jennifer Rice is currently in second place behind John Morgan. 3 wards didn't have an incumbent running. In Nakota Iska, Reed Clark is in the lead. In Pihesawin, Michael Elliott is currently leading. And in Ward CP Winniwak, Daryl Friesen is ahead in the polls. Calgary also has a new mayor-elect tonight. Jeremy Farkas won by a razor-thin margin.
I'm committed to working with this new council to listen genuinely to Calgarians and ensure that for the next 4 years they see their voices reflected in the decisions that we make.
Farkas is the first candidate to defeat an incumbent mayor in Calgary since 1980 when Ralph Klein did it. Farkas received 91,068 votes, just 584 votes ahead of runner-up Sonia Sharp. There was a call for a recount coming from Sharp. Jody Gondek finished in third with more than 71,000 votes. One day after Edmontonians went to the polls, many are venting their frustration over the process. Some experts agree, saying long wait times and delayed results are unacceptable. What should be done about it depends on who you ask. Connor Hogg has more.
At many polling stations in Edmonton, the lines were long. And one day later, results are significantly slower than what many are used to. It's a process voters and candidates agree needs to change.
A little frustrating that it took them till 7:30 to kind of get everybody pointing in the right direction.
Last fall, the provincial government banned machines to count ballots. All municipalities had to count by hand. In a statement, Edmonton Elections says multiple factors impacted both voting and counting of ballots. It lists a labor shortage, power outages, and other technology issues.
When you see voter turnout as low as it is, and then to see our election system can't even accommodate low voter turnout. This is a democratic crisis.
Pollster and political commentator Janet Brown says the delays could discourage people from voting in the future. She says blame should fall on both levels of government.
At this point, without more information, I'm inclined to be mad at the cities over the collection, and I'm inclined to be mad at the province over the counting.
We see all across Canada and increasingly across the Western jurisdictions, a group of people that want to make sure that we don't have questions in terms of whether or not the vote was legitimate.
Provincial Minister of Municipal Affairs Dan Williams says hand-counted ballots are the gold standard of elections at every level of government, and that the province wants to work with municipalities to improve the process.
I think that municipal officials running these elections are professionals, and where we need to tweak the process to make sure that they understand what's asked of them in advance, to make sure that they don't have labor shortages, to make sure that they're there to meet the requirements set out in law over a year in advance for them.
Alberta municipalities called for a review of the election process Tuesday. Williams says that the province will be conducting its own review, with additional legislation a possibility. Connor Hogg, CTV News, Edmonton.
A day after announcing it would soon be limiting who can and cannot run in provincial elections, Alberta's government has clarified only small clerical changes are coming. An upcoming bill will soon require more signatures for candidate nominations, from 25 to at least 50, according to the Justice Minister. The bill will also prohibit people from signing more than one nomination paper. Mickey Amory says the legislation is about protecting election integrity and will not limit who can and cannot run as long as they meet the signature criteria. The move follows controversy over long ballot initiatives during the federal election and a recent Alberta by-election.
The purpose of a good election is to have candidates who take the position seriously, who are not using the process of our election rules and our election laws to take advantage of them and create protest and havoc and confusion. 100 signatures is not a strict or difficult requirement for anybody seriously looking to run for political office.
The legislation will be introduced early in the upcoming fall session. The government House Leader is not saying if or when the province will use back-to-work legislation to end a strike by teachers.
I'm not going to wade into hypothetical waters at the moment. Again, if necessary, we'll do what is required to get kids back in the classroom. But for the moment, I wouldn't have anything else to comment on it.
Joseph Scow is responsible for moving legislation through the debate process. Scow says nothing has been finalized, with the House set to return this week with Thursday's speech from the throne. Last week, Premier Danielle Smith said teachers can expect back-to-work legislation soon because the walkout is causing irreparable harm to students. Negotiations are at a standstill, with the teachers and province divided over wages, working conditions, and overcrowded classrooms. A Leduc man charged in June with child pornography and luring is now facing an additional 86 charges. This comes as 23 more victims have come forward to police. CTV's Merrick DeCash reports.
Operation Extraction, as this investigation has been named, is believed to be one of the largest investigations of its kind in Alberta.
And possibly one of the largest in Canada, involving 29 girls from the Leduc area and beyond.
I want to commend all all of our complainants that have come forward. This is no small feat because we are talking about complainants that are aged from 12 to 19.
In June, police say 6 girls reported being contacted by a man through Snapchat and sexually assaulted and exploited in person. Later that month, police arrested Campbell Ferguson and laid 27 charges. Since then, 23 more girls have come forward and 86 more charges have been laid against Ferguson.
He has remained in custody on those original 27 charges to this date. So when we're adding charges at total 113, it would be my hope and my expectation that he does not receive bail.
People we spoke with in Leduc today say the news is shocking, but also know it's not unique to their city.
Well, it's not just happening in Leduc, it's happening everywhere. It's in other small communities too. They all just, oh, well, I live in a small town. Nobody's going to know it's me.
Investigators echo that sentiment.
Ferguson lived in Leduc. This is not a Leduc issue. This is, it is a worldwide issue.
Police believe there may be other victims and want them to know they will be heard.
There are probably girls there who think this is my fault. I made a decision and this was my fault, not knowing that the level of manipulation and coercion was so high. And to them, I would say exactly what has been said to the ones that are coming forward. Give us an opportunity to help you.
Anyone with information is asked to contact police or Crime Stoppers. Merrick Takash, CTV News, Leduc.
Alberta's police watchdog has cleared multiple officers who fired at a man at the Sherwood Park RCMP detachment earlier this year. In late July, RCMP officers saw a man walking around the detachment parking lot with what appeared to be a gun. 4 officers shot at the man, injuring him. It was later determined he was holding a BB gun. The Alberta Serious Incident Response Team released its report into the shooting today. It found the man pointed the fake gun at officers and later told investigators he wanted to be shot. ASIRT concluded officers responded to the threat reasonably. And 3 men have been charged with arson after a pair of southeast Edmonton homes were badly damaged by a fire started by fireworks. CTV's Sasha Pietramala reports.
Travis Kammerer and his wife spent their morning at what was their home.
Car garage. There's some holes in the roof. There's a hole in my daughter's bedroom roof.
The vehicle in the garage gone. Monday night, fireworks were set off in the neighborhood, something Kammerer had worried about in the past.
There's signs all over our neighborhood, all over the neighborhood about fireworks, because every year it's really bad.
He says this is the barrage that hit his home, setting it on fire.
My daughter came out of her room saying there was an orange glow in the backyard. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
The fire spread quickly, severely damaging the garage and house. A neighboring home was also damaged.
Use your head. Use your head. Fireworks are like, what's a firework? Use it, goes off, and then it's done. Now my house is gone.
Last week, the City of Edmonton reminded people of its firework regulations. A permit is needed, and only certified professionals can legally set them off.
Your fireworks are going off in the neighborhood. It has to stop.
No one was injured in the fire. 3 adult males were charged with arson for recklessly causing damage by fire or explosion. Sasha Pietramala, CTV News, Edmonton.
An early morning fire in central Edmonton has destroyed a house under construction. Edmonton Fire Rescue says trucks responded just before 1 this morning and were able to bring the flames under control around 2:30. Neighboring homes were evacuated as a precaution. The FRS says no one was hurt, but other houses were damaged. As of now, Edmonton police are not involved in the investigation. Jasper National Park is still learning from the unprecedented wildfire that ripped through the town last summer. 2 reports were released today. The first, a forensic investigation into the fire itself. It looked at the impacts of drought, topography, the mountain pine beetle, and a changing climate. Officials say it highlighted the fire risk reduction measures done in the decades leading up to the fire, which played a significant role in their ability to save 70% of the town. The second report looked at the fire behavior in the town site itself. It suggested that combustible roof material and proximity of homes were factors in the spread.
Moving forward, this will contribute to a better understanding of our rebuilding needs in town, the fuel treatment around town, and the fire smarting in town. they are important, and they played a significant role in contributing to lessening the impact of last year's events. So we need to further those efforts. We need to continue on that path.
Further fire risk reduction measures are in the works. Park officials say the lessons learned from Jasper's wildfire reports are helpful in other communities across the country. A Northwest Community Hub now has a piece of local art that makes it stand out. Kirk Centre celebrated its new mural today. The Community Hub commissioned a local artist who's done work around the world. The centre says it wanted something that reflects its mission of being an open, welcome, and inclusive space connected to the community.
We also believe that it puts it right out there to the community exactly what it is that we believe, and that is in all the colors that make up this community, make up West Edmonton as well as Edmonton on a whole.
I like to blend realism with pop art features as well as abstract, which is not a very traditional way of painting murals, one, and doing art too. What I represent is difference, community, diversity, togetherness.
Davis says his mural also made sure to respect the brickwork on the building. And Josh, so nice out today, I didn't really notice that wind.
There were a few people who did. Let me tell you, you might be the only one that wasn't complaining about it. Gusts today to about 40 kilometers per hour through most of this afternoon. They've died down now, though. They are coming back tomorrow, but enjoy this evening. There's your wind, about 5 to 10 kilometers per hour in the city out of the north, and temperatures have slipped a little bit. 12 degrees right now after 14 for a daytime high. 10 is the average high for this time of year. Start of the day, 3 degrees above zero. I think we'll be a degree or two below zero, though, to start tomorrow morning. So we've had a few frost-free mornings. Yeah, it may not be the case, at least in parts of the city, tomorrow morning. Here's what it looks like outside right now with the CTV drone. Beautiful sunset underway. Still a few clouds out there, but they have been clearing a little bit in the last few hours. I mean, it was way more sunshine than cloud cover for the bulk of the day, but for a while this afternoon, you had some cloudy periods. It was much cloudier for areas further to the north. We'll get some clearing here through this evening and overnight tonight. Skies should be fairly clear, and that'll allow temperatures to slip to about -1 or -2. And then, after a calm start to the day, by lunchtime, the gusts pick up once again, and through the afternoon and into the evening hours, gusts will be about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, so pretty similar to what we had this afternoon. A high of about 15 degrees, so a degree warmer than today. So we mentioned right off the top of the newscast, close to 20 on Friday, but then a change for the weekend as some cooler air drops in. We'll talk about all that in a couple minutes.
Thank you, Josh. Coming up on CTV News, long delays and limited availability.
Every place I tried was full. Some places you couldn't get a vaccine until December.
Some seniors having trouble getting a COVID-19 vaccine.
Coming up Wednesday on Your Morning, we help you prepare for spooky season, costume inspiration, your best decorations, and all the latest contests in our ultimate trick-or-treat candy bracket.
Your Morning Edmonton, weekdays.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Frustration is growing amongst Albertans who are now eligible to book their COVID-19 shot at a cost. Some seniors say they're struggling to get appointments and facing long wait times. CTV's Mark Villani has more.
Lucille Olson is celebrating her 73rd birthday this week, but she wasn't pleased to be spending it stuck on the phone.
There are extremely high call volumes and extended wait times. Thank you. Goodbye.
They basically hung up on me.
Olson called 811 HealthLink several times in an effort to book her COVID shot, but she couldn't get through. Monday, there were more than 12,000 calls for COVID immunizations and another 1,700 for flu shots. Alberta's vaccine booking website was overloaded, too.
I did it about 10 times. Every place I tried was full. Some places you couldn't get a vaccine until December.
Olson finally got an appointment, but she lives with a rare form of cancer and questioned why she'd have to pay $100 for the shot. She says because she's not actively receiving cancer treatment, she wasn't eligible.
Having to pay for it is just not fair.
A new Angus Reid Institute poll also showed nationwide opposition for having to pay for COVID shots. Alberta has the highest supports, but the study also found that
those who voted Conservative federally, those who voted for the use
UCP provincially in the last election are much less likely to believe in the efficacy of vaccines.
Meanwhile, Alberta pharmacies aren't part of the province's rollout anymore, but some are ordering limited doses of Pfizer directly from wholesalers. But that will cost about $155 per shot because of higher purchasing costs.
We're not sure how long stock will be available and how many doses will be available in total, so a lot of uncertainty.
Still, the province is defending its immunization plan. The pre-ordering tool helps forecast future vaccine needs and minimize waste, while also supporting the planning of immunization clinics by giving officials a clearer understanding of expected volumes.
We were horrified.
But that doesn't sit well with seniors advocacy groups. CanAge gave Alberta a C- grade in its latest vaccine report card.
This is going to hit across generations, making older people get more frail, make our hospital systems back up.
And some see it as another setback for the state of healthcare in Alberta.
Our healthcare is in a crisis.
Mark Villani, CTV News, Calgary.
The province says the National Advisory Committee on Immunization also does not recommend universal vaccination for COVID-19. A poll conducted for the union representing RCMP members shows most respondents are against Alberta replacing the national force. Polara Strategic Insights conducted the survey in August for the National Police Federation. It found 81% of respondents agreed the province has more important priorities than changing who polices local communities. The survey suggests 76% of Albertans in RCMP-served areas are satisfied with their policing. 71% say the public has not been properly consulted about replacing the RCMP. The poll surveyed 1,200 Albertans with a margin of error of 2.8%. Still ahead, it will go down in history as one of the biggest swings in Blue Jays history.
The enormity of the moment for Toronto and the city and the lead and just boom in a moment.
And for one fan, it will be the most memorable for good reason. What he plans to do with that ball next.
More sunshine and more warm weather in the forecast over the next couple of days. More wind as well. Another gusty afternoon on tap for tomorrow. A look at that and the cool down for the weekend in just a few minutes.
Programming brought to you by Century Casino. 3 great locations: Edmonton, St. Albert, and Century Mile.
Blue Jays are headed to the World Series for the first time in over 3 decades. Well, last night's game was special for fans across the country. It was extra special for one fan who happened to be in the right place at the right time. CTV's Allison Hurst reports.
With that crack of the bat, George Springer's home run was launched into Blue Jays history, and a piece of it caught by Michael Angeletti, who scrambled to get his glove on.
I only got it in like this, so I couldn't make this squeeze. It went into my glove first, but I couldn't squeeze it. And other people trying to get it propelled it up, and then with the offhand, I scooped it.
And he says he held on.
I held it so I could have squeezed oil out of this ball.
Angeletti says he sort of blacked out, only coming to when someone behind him ruffled his hair.
When it brought me back to where I was, and the enormity of the moment for Toronto and the city and the lead, and just boom in a moment.
A moment that was caught by friends and family across the country.
I was glued to the TV, and then somebody from Montreal, he says, was that your son who caught the ball? I said, no, I don't know.
Renzo Angeletti called his son immediately to confirm he had in fact caught the Springer dinger.
I couldn't have imagined with 45,000 people there, and he didn't have tickets, and he bought one single ticket. What were the odds?
After that incredible catch, Angeletti says he secured the ball in his glove with his hairband.
I've dropped a ball or two in my life, let me tell you, okay? No way I was dropping this one.
Angeletti waited after the game, hoping to see the player whose name is not only etched on the back of his jersey, but now in Jays history.
He never showed, and I didn't want to make a deal or pass it off to some staffer and leave, so I just decided to hold on to it.
As for what he's going to do with it?
No official plan. The plan is the ride. I was tired of just passively watching these Jay games on my couch. I wanted to feel something real, and boy, did I ever.
Something he'll never forget. Allison Hurst, CTV News.
You sell that and flip it into a ticket for the World Series?
Maybe half a ticket if you split it with somebody. I hear the prices are wild.
Yeah, a little high. Temperatures today up to 14 degrees. How'd you like to go warmer for the next couple of days?
Let's see. Okay.
15 tomorrow, close to 20 on Friday. We'll get to that 5-day forecast in a moment. Things are going to change in a big way for next week, but the rest of this week, more mild weather. Action Furnace gives you the River Valley Skycam. Action Furnace, fixed wherever it's free, 12 degrees. And there's a little bit of cloud cover out there. We'll see more clearing as we head through the overnight period tonight. 8 degrees in Fort McMurray for a high, 12 in Grand Prairie and Peace River for daytime highs. Here in Edmonton and in Red Deer, 14 degrees. High level a little cooler at just 3. There's the clear spot that we're in now. You can see just west of the city, maybe some scattered light shower activity. Looks like for the most part, though, this is just cloud cover. I don't think we'll see any rain here in Edmonton, but a few clouds will drift through parts of the area through the early evening hours and then overnight tonight. It all slides out. Skies start to clear. We get just below 0 tomorrow morning, but mainly sunny skies and light wind to start today. Wind picks up in the afternoon. Skies stay sunny until either late afternoon or into the evening hours. We'll see some increase in cloud cover from the west. Could see a few scattered showers in northwestern Alberta. Thursday morning, a couple lingering clouds and then sunshine for the bulk of the day Thursday with, again, northwestern Alberta dealing with some hit and miss showers. No heavy, steady rain, but some scattered precipitation nonetheless. Watch your temperatures. Here was today. Tomorrow looks pretty similar. You'll notice this warmer air starting to poke in from the southeast, and by Friday, that should push far enough north to hit us here in the Edmonton area, and that'll push temperatures. I've got 18 in the forecast for Friday. There's a legit shot at hitting 20. Here's your cool down for the weekend, though, and we do have a chance of some showers or periods of rain. Timing on that is still a little uncertain. Could be as early as Saturday night. I think the better bet is going to be Sunday, but we'll lock that down in the coming days. 6 degrees in Fort McMurray tomorrow morning, or currently 9 degrees in Grand Prairie and 11 in Red Deer right now. We're at 12 degrees here in Edmonton. Still a little gusty in east central Alberta, but the wind has died down here in the city, and it stays light through tonight and into tomorrow morning. A degree or two below 0 to start. Sunshine up to about 10 by lunchtime and a high of 15 with some gusty wind tomorrow afternoon. Wind gusts will be in the 30 to 40 kilometer per hour range from around lunchtime right through into the evening hours, and then it dies down for Thursday, Friday. And look at these temperatures, 16 or 17 on Thursday, 18 to 20-ish for a high on Friday. We're back to 11 with some increase in cloud Saturday, and there's your chance of showers for Sunday with a high of 7. And it looks like we'll kind of hang out in that 7-degree range for daytime highs through at least the early part of next week. There is a chance, I've got 8s here for Wednesday, Thursday next week. There's a chance that one or both of these days could maybe touch 10. But the overall trend, after being in the teens here for the next 3 days, is for daytime highs to be in the 5 to 10-degree range, a lot closer to average to close October and right through Halloween and early November.
Thank you, Josh. Still ahead, a new report highlights failures of the Canada Revenue Agency.
Hours and hours, and then dropped. And the next day, hours and hours, and then dropped.
Errors and long wait times frustrate Canadians also.
Our submarines is already in operation.
Selling Canada on new submarines. Stay with us.
Answered correctly only 17% of the time. Put another way, if you ask a general question about your individual taxes, you have an 83% chance of getting a wrong answer from the Canada Revenue Agency.
We found that the accuracy was much higher when questions pertain to specific accounts.
Why does this government force Canadians to pay so much for such terrible service?
We are holding CRA to account. The 100-day plan is showing, I think, spectacular results so far. We've got a lot of work to do.
The government says they've already hired more employees and beat their own goal, which was to have 70% of calls answered at all. The latest data from 2 weeks ago puts calls answered at 90%. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
A new audit finds the Canadian military is falling short on recruiting and training enough members to meet the country's operational requirements. An Auditor General's report found that despite a recruitment push and a massive spending commitment, on average, only 1 in 13 applicants end up starting basic training. The Canadian Armed Forces are thousands of members short of their authorized staffing levels for regular force members and reservists. Recruitments are also taking twice as long as targeted, and there are instructor and equipment shortages. Compounding this, the forces have failed to plan for and provide enough adequate housing for recruits that do make the cut. The defense ministers of Germany and Norway are in Ottawa pitching their submarines to replace Canada's aging fleet. The NATO countries say they're willing to make the submarines here, but there are questions about their ability to deliver on time. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
Reception for the German and Norwegian defense ministers as they try to persuade Canada to buy submarines from their joint venture. The NATO allies propose building some of their vessels in this country.
If Canada decides to want to produce on its own territory from which point of time ever, then that's possible too.
But the TKMS submarines aren't in production yet. They're still being developed compared to the other contender, South Korea, whose subs are rolling off assembly lines. Hanwha is promising to deliver 4 subs by 2035.
Our submarines is already in operation.
Canada needs a new fleet urgently. Only 1 submarine is in operation, the other 3 in maintenance. South Korea's vessels could cost less, but the Europeans say their subs have stealth mode and are being tested in the north. They say military expertise should stay within NATO.
We will maintain them together. We will develop them together, we will train the crew together, and hopefully also we will sail together.
The Navy wants 12 submarines to patrol the Atlantic, Arctic, and Pacific Oceans. When maintenance is factored in over several decades, the contract will be worth hundreds of billions of dollars.
Canada needs all the investments it can get. Canada is reasserting its defense sector prowess, if I can say. We're building more industries. We're increasing the number of companies. We'll see what that negotiation bears fruit.
South Korea says it too can move submarine production to Canada if the government insists. Next week, the Prime Minister will get to see Hanwha's shipyard up close when he attends an economic conference in Asia. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Canada's embattled auto industry took another hit today. General Motors says it's ending production of its Bright Drop electric delivery van in Ingersoll, Ontario. Industry Minister Mélanie Joly says she's working on a plan to support impacted workers.
That's a decision they took. Of course, we'll hold them to account for any support we've given them to develop that model. But at the same time, we are creating a response group to make sure that we're bringing a new model, because the 1,200 workers at the Ingersoll plant need to know that we're fighting for their jobs.
GM says the decision is related to low demand for the product, adding that production is not being moved elsewhere. Operation of the plant was halted in April, but was slated to restart in November with a single shift. About 1,200 unionized workers were employed at the plant before production was suspended. In question period today, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre slammed the Prime Minister, saying Mark Carney sold out and betrayed auto workers, while Joly says she's already begun discussions with GM, Unifor, and Ontario. The Prime Minister confirmed the possibility of a tariff deal with the U.S. that would apply to certain sectors.
We'll see. We're ongoing discussions with the Americans, and I wouldn't overplay it.
While the Prime Minister wouldn't say much more, government sources tell CTV News they're hopeful there could be movement on a steel and aluminum deal with the U.S. as early as this week. Japan's parliament has elected the country's first female Prime Minister. 64-year-old Sanae Takaichi won a clear majority in an election that marks a hard turn to the right for Japan on immigration and social issues. Prime Minister Mark Carney congratulated his new counterpart, saying he looks forward to working with Takaichi to elevate cooperation across key sectors. Israel is urging Carney to drop his commitment to the International Criminal Court's arrest warrant for Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu.
We believe that Prime Minister Carney should, of course, reconsider this and welcome Prime Minister Netanyahu, the leader of the only Jewish state and democratic country here in the Middle East, to Canada.
Carney confirmed in an interview with Bloomberg that he would fulfill the pledge to arrest Netanyahu on war crime charges if he ever traveled to Canada. The ICC issued the warrant last year for alleged crimes against humanity in the Gaza conflict. Israel rejects the jurisdiction of the Hague-based court and denies the accusations. The Assembly of First Nations confirms talks are underway to return Indigenous items from the Vatican Museum back to Canada. National Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Nepenak says for First Nations, these items are not artifacts. They are living, sacred pieces of our cultures and ceremonies and must be treated as the invaluable objects that they are. She adds there are many details being worked on to ensure the items are transferred properly. Coming up, inflation increases.
It's kind of the unique market that is Alberta compared to the rest of the provinces.
The costs adding up for Albertans as pay remains stagnant. Plus,
we're letting you see the stars we have in our city and then putting them out to the world.
The new festival is providing exposure to performers who might not get it through traditional channels. Looking at the markets, the Canadian dollar closed at 71 cents U.S. Oil was down 22 cents, closing the day at $57.24 U.S. a barrel. Gold lost more than $250 today. The TSX closed lower, down by 527 points. The Dow Jones higher, up 218. Canada's inflation rate increased to 2.4% in September. While Alberta's inflation is slightly lower than the national average, it's not much consolation. Albertans are dealing with high grocery and insurance bills while having the lowest minimum wage in the country. CTV's Jacqueline Wilson reports.
Times are tight, and many Albertans are dealing with an affordability crisis.
It's tough. I have 2 kids, and I go to the grocery store, and I'll buy 1 bag of groceries, and it's like $100 every time.
Consumers paid 4% more for food last month than they did 1 year earlier, according to Statistics Canada. September marked the largest year-over-year increase in grocery prices since the most recent low in April 2024. Increased prices for vegetables, sugar and confectionery, beef and coffee were the main drivers.
We're starting to see the end of the domestic supply, and we're starting to get into import supply, which traditionally has an inflationary impact.
Albertans are also paying almost 13% more for home and mortgage insurance and over 15% more for car insurance year over year.
The hailstorms and the wildfires and the kind of damage that has done to cars and thus through claims. Another part of it's kind of the unique market that is Alberta compared to the rest of the provinces.
Overall, Alberta's year-over-year inflation was 1.9% in September. It was also up from 1.4% in August. Those numbers are lower than the national average, sitting at 2.4% year-over-year and 1.9% in August. Andrew Barclay says that's partially thanks to gas prices, which remain flat in Alberta.
This September was a base year effect. So we're comparing that price difference between last September and this September. And it's a smaller decrease than it was in August.
For many Calgarians, wallets are thin as prices increase, but not wages. Alberta's $15 an hour minimum wage is the lowest in the country.
What we see is people relying on credit to manage their daily expenses, right? They're using credit to supplement their income because they can't afford it.
Jacqueline Wilson, CTV News, Calgary.
A Central Alberta brewer says it is the most awarded brewery in Canada. Blind Man Brewery has won many awards provincially, nationally, and internationally. The brewery says its Dwarf Cherry Sour is the most awarded beer in the country. It received bronze for Best in Show at the Alberta Beer Awards earlier this month.
Because there's a ton of great competition across the country, so it's always exciting when you see your brewery placing well among everyone else out there. Kind of getting those awards at home from Alberta maybe feels sometimes a little bit more special because you're like, yeah, I'm winning here.
And we're kind of humbly bragging about that. So we're very proud with the beers that we're putting out, and it's really cool that they're getting acknowledged in that way.
Blind Man has even won some fun awards like Best Beer to Drink in the Shower. A new comedy festival is combining diversity, inclusion, and laughter. Edmonton-based comedian Sterling Scott cut his comedy teeth on Canada's Got Talent in 2024. He'll be taping a special at this week's Color Me Comedy Festival. The festival also includes specialty shows such as Color Me Hilarious, featuring female comics, and Color Me Bastos, highlighting Filipino comedians. Scott says the goal is to provide exposure to performers who might not get it through traditional channels.
We're letting you see the stars we have in our city and then putting them out to the world by using our funds to film and produce TV-level performances that which each entertainer could then use to promote themselves in festivals, YouTube, social media, so that they can grow their audience as well.
The festival runs Thursday through Saturday across multiple venues, including the Orange Hub. For more information, head to ctvnewsedmonton.ca and click on News Links. Still ahead, an unforgettable airport rescue.
Yeah, he was being seen, but every time he would be seen, he would move areas, so that's what made it tricky.
We've got another great night of entertainment coming up right here on CTV, starting at 7 with E-Talk.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could win $20,000. For your chance to win, watch CTV Your Morning Edmonton, weekday mornings 6 to 9.
Programming brought to you by Southview Acura. For family-owned award-winning excellence, Southview Acura, where luxury meets reality.
A rescue dog has beaten the odds twice after spending 9 days alone outside. CTV's St. Alexander has more on the pup's second rescue and the determined humans who brought him home.
Tommy is at times spooked, but he's a smart pup. And when the 8-month-old landed in Vancouver after a long flight from South Korea, he somehow broke free and took off.
That's good.
Enter Parker and Julia from Pet Searchers Canada, the crack team behind Operation Find Tommy.
Yeah, he's about 20 pounds, so he's a tiny boy.
The dangers can't be understated. People, planes, cars, and coyotes. Remember, he's a puppy, so his picture was posted everywhere. Everyone on the lookout.
He had a little harness on, a little scarf he was lost with, and so he was adorable.
The hours grew longer, days passed, and he was being spotted at UPS, by airport officials, fuel engineers, but Tommy would always run.
Yeah, he was being seen, but every time he would be seen, he would move areas, so that's what made it tricky.
Bit by bit, pet searchers seemed to figure out his favorite spots, set up more trail cameras, and traps with freshly cooked chicken. Now here's Tommy taking the bait, but he wasn't about to be caught.
He came by, actually went halfway in my trap, backed out, and then he left.
More traps, more sightings, more chicken, but no puppy. And it's now been more than a week.
For 9 days, we're still hopeful, but are getting more and more concerned.
That's when the team changed the menu. Hot dogs would be served too. That night, ever so cautiously, Tommy was back and feasted.
Hi, Tommy.
He was cold and shaking.
Hi, buddy.
But they finally found Tommy right across the street from the airport runway.
You're safe, buddy.
The puppy was taken indoors where he couldn't get away, and the moment they opened the cage, he curled up with Julia and Parker.
We just want him happy and safe, and yeah, and he's such a sweet boy that we're really happy with the outcome.
We bet he is too, now living the life, probably eating more hot dogs in Whistler. St. Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
After a gusty afternoon, the wind has died down and should stay fairly light overnight tonight with clear skies. We'll slip to about -1 or -2 tomorrow morning, so it might be a little bit of frost on the windshields tomorrow morning. Mainly sunny. Wind comes back tomorrow starting about lunchtime and carrying through the afternoon and evening hours. Gusts to about 30 or 40 kilometers per hour, but lots of sunshine. 15 degrees tomorrow, 16 on Thursday, 18 or 19 for a high Friday, and then a bit cooler through the weekend.
All right, sounds great. Thanks, Josh, and thank you very much for sharing your time with us. For news anytime, visit ctvnewsedmonton.ca. Have a great evening.